Thank you for coming, and I would like to, there's no need to introduce Dushyant Sridhar. He's known very well all over the world. And it's been a pleasure for Malini and me to host him, as well as thank you for Veena and Nageshwara for hosting this evening's lecture, which will be on Sharanagathy in Ramayana. Dushyant has given lectures are mostly in Tamil and English, and during his tour this year in the United States and Canada, all his lectures are in English and some Tamil. Very popular is Dushyant. Gives programs on several television channels in India, as well as he choreographs ballets, then conducts tours, religious tours, both in India as well as overseas. Is an alumni of BITS Pilani and also worked in several large corporations in India and gives management lectures to the corporations. With this, I would conclude my introduction. If I miss something, you'll always be there, and I'll have Dushyant take over. Thank you. One humble request is request you all to turn off your cell phones, listen to the beautiful and thrilling lecture on today's topic.
As requested, please keep your cell phones in a silent mode, or you may even switch it off if you wish. And if there is a landline in this house, just make sure that the remote is in your hand, because it will keep incessantly ringing. Ramanuja Dayapatram Jnanavairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta Deshikam Lakshminatha Samarambham Natha Yamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityam Achyuta Padambuja Yudma Rukma Vyamohata Staditarani Trinayamene Asmad Gurur Bhagavatosya Dayeka Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye Mata Pita Yuvatayastanaya Vibhutis Sarvam Yadeva Niyamena Madanvayanam Adyasya Kulapater Vakulabhiramam Srimattadangri Yugalam Pranamami Murdhana Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahvaya Bhattanatha Sri Bhaktisara Kulashekara Yogivahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimat Parankusha Munim Pranatosmi Nityam Kujantam Rama Rama Iti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmikeer Munisimhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shrinvan Ramakatanatam Konayadi Paramgatim Vedavedye Parepumsi Jate Dasharathatmaje Vedav Prachetasadaasid Sakshad Ramayanatmana Anjana Nandanam Veeram Janaki Shokanashanam Kapisham Akshahantaram Vande Lanka Bhayankaram Manojavam Maruta Tulyavegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanarayutha Mukhyam Sriramadutam Shirasa Namami Anjaneya Madipathalananam Kanchanadri Kamaniya Vigraham Parijata Tarumula Vasinam Bhavayami Pavamana Nandanam Yetra Yetra Raghunatha Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Kritamasta Kanjalim Bashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Namada Rakshasantakam Jayatyashrita Santrasa Dhvanta Vidvamsa Nodayaha Prabhavan Sitaya Devya Paramavyoma Bhaskaraha. A very good evening to the gathering here. The topic chosen for the day, I hope I'm audible. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. If you want me to be louder, I can do it. We have two options. One to increase the volume there or increase the volume here. Either ways works. So, the topic chosen for the day is Sharanagathy in Ramayana. These are two words that we have often heard, and we have even tried to understand about these two words. One is Sharanagathy, second is Ramayana. So Sharanagathy essentially is the doctrine of unconditional self-surrender. It is always an assumption that lectures in English are very simple. It is indeed tough. Because when one learns the tough philosophical doctrines in one's own mother tongue, it is much more easier to comprehend rather than getting inside English. If I would say the doctrine of unconditional self-surrender, that itself becomes too tough for us to digest what it is. And all the more, philosophical lectures in India, way back when they started in 1960s and 70s, there were some gurus who used to start giving English lectures in India. And they became so popular. But my guru would remark on a very lighter vein. The lectures used to be as such. The sentient soul rests in the mortal body, in the mesh of illusion, and to get out of this supernatural state, one has to take the wheel out. This is one of the sentences in the lectures. So a person who walks out will be amazed at the vocabulary of the speaker rather than the content of the speaker. So in English, it becomes very tough to actually spot the right words, because there is one word Sharanagati, but to explain that Sharanagati I should use 10 words, and I'm not sure even after using those 10 words will it give the complete meaning. Nevertheless, English is the order of the day. English is the language that we have chosen for the day. So it becomes very pertinent on my side to use English. Nevertheless, I would suggest, if you are a Tamil speaking person here, if you are a Telugu speaking person here, if you are a Kannada speaking person here, or if you are a Gujarati or a Hindi speaking person here. I'm sure, is there any other language speaking person beyond these languages that I've mentioned? So, whenever I describe in English, with the basic proficiency that you have in your own mother tongue, try to put the right words together so that you understand the concept better. This is not going to be a lecture where I'm going to tell you what the story in Ramayana is. Most of us are now become experts next to Valmiki in Ramayana. So, the ones who can claim expertise next to Valmiki is us. So, there is absolutely no need to get into the nitty-gritties of Ramayana. Nevertheless, understanding Ramayana's basics becomes a prerequisite for this lecture. This lecture is not to tell what Ramayana is. The lecture is to tell what Sharanagati in Ramayana is. So there is an assumption that is made that Ramayana is already known. It has already been contemplated. It has already been understood. This is an assumption made. The assumption could be wrong, but still there is always a lighter hope of hope that rests in us that this assumption should be true. In Ramayana, we have understood various things. We know Sharanagati, which is unconditional self-surrender, where even in our daily life we say, if the police wala tells that you will have to do this and do that, I'm talking way back in our home country. So that is when people will say, don't do anything, go and do Sharanagati to him. What they essentially employ is, don't back answer him. Don't question him, fall at his feet. What they imply by falling at his feet is not literally falling, but to agree to what he says. So even in our colloquial life, the dialect that we use employs a philosophical word like Sharanagati. On the other hand, if someone doesn't give the exact answer to the question, but gives the answer in a very elaborate manner, something to what I'm doing now, then in the colloquial way back in India, they'll say, he has started his Ramayana. So, in the colloquial way, if one has to surrender, we say Sharanagati. In a colloquial way, if we say that a person is giving a long story, it is Ramayana. So now we are going to deal with Sharanagathy in Ramayana. So look at the combination. Both have been used and abused, and both these words have to be put together. Rama, Sharanagathy in Ramayana. So we need to understand what Sharanagathy is in its first place to get inside Ramayana. Sharanagathy is often understood as Sharanam is feet and Gati is to seek refuge, which is wrong. Sharanam is not feet. Charanam is feet. Sharanam is refuge. There is a difference. When I say that I need your help, I seek your refuge, that is Sharanam. But I do it with a combination of falling at his feet. Then I am doing the Sharanam at his Charanam. Cha, Sha. There is a difference between Sha itself. Some have the habit of saying the first Sha as Sa. Sha, Sha. Saranagati, which is wrong. In certain songs they say Syanka Chakram, which is wrong. It's Shanka Chakram. So it is not Sa, it is Sha. It is not Cha, it is Cha. So Charanam is feet, Sharanam is refuge. So don't get confused. You may say we are not getting confused. This is just an indication, that's all. Now what is Sharanagati? When you seek refuge, whom should you seek refuge and who seeks refuge? Because there is one philosophy which clearly advocates that Jivatma and Paramatma are not different. They are one and the same. So if they are one and the same, nobody has to do Sharanagati to somebody else. If I am the same as Paramatma, whom will I seek refuge to? I will not seek refuge at anyone because I am him. Thou art that. Tat tvam asi tattvam asi. Aham brahma asmi, aham brahmasmi. So I am the Lord is what one philosophy states. But in Sharanagati, it is very clear that you should remember the distinction between the two. Paramatma is Paramatma, Jivatma is Jivatma. So the one who performs Sharanagati is Jivatma. The one to whose feet it is being performed, he is Paramatma. So this person becomes the person who attains, and the other one becomes the person to be attained. So there is a difference between the one who is attaining and the one to be attained. Now this is called Upayam and Upayam. For people who have come for this lecture for the first time, don't worry, the lecture will be very simple and very interesting. The concentration of the audience is found only in the first 10 minutes of the lecture. So it becomes very pertinent for the speaker to imbibe the philosophy in the first 10 minutes. After that, the story will flow. So then I can see some, after a day's work, probably your eyes may just close. Probably one could be in a meditative mood as well, I'm not mistaken. But, so that can happen later. The first 10 minutes is when the new audience will want to check how the speaker is speaking, whether the content is worth listening. And third, if I have to sit for the entire duration, because the food would have made based on the head count. So it also becomes tough for the host to manage with the food. At least in our country, if the food gets wasted, we will search for some person to take. Whom will you wait here to take? So it becomes very important. So you can stay for the entire 2 hours. Don't worry, the lecture will be simple. Only the first 10 minutes we are going to spend. That's all. After that, it will be very simple. Even an amateur to philosophy can understand Sharanagati very easily, because that is what Sharanagati is meant for. It is meant for the amateurs. So there is a person to be attained who is the Paramatma. The person who attains is the Jivatma. So he has to choose a means. Suppose I have to travel from my host's house to this place. I need to choose the means. Here in the US, Ekameva Advitiyam, there is only one route. You are dependent on the host's car. Way back in India, if you all come to India, even if you fight with your host, you have many options. You will have one, if you hold like this, the auto will come. Right? And if you are lucky, he may switch on the meter. That is different, but you still manage to get the auto. And you have got call taxis in India. You can take the bus or you can even walk. Here also we can walk, but the distances are too high and we don't know the road because everything looks the same. So the means is one here. I am dependent on my horse car to come here. So car becomes my means, which is upayam in Sanskrit. Remember, Hindi में हम जब बोलते हैं मुझे एक रास्ता बताओ, मुझे एक उपाय दो. Upay is idea there. In Sanskritam, upayam is not idea. Upayam is means. Whatever we take as a vehicle is called upayam. What we get on reaching the destination is called upayam. Suppose I have started from my horse's house to this house in a car. This house becomes upayam because this is my destination. Car becomes upayam. So you have got Paramatma who needs to be attained, Jivatma who has to attain. He uses upayam, which is the means, and Paramatma becomes the destination, which is upayam. So this upayam is called Sharanagathy. This means is called Sharanagathy. You might have also heard of another word called Bhakti. Bhakti is one upayam, says Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. But there is another doctrine which says Sharanagathy is the upayam. What is the difference between the two? Bhakti yogam will ensure that you get moksham, you will get salvation. See, first of all, when you are born into a clan that thinks about philosophy, you should have the innate interest to get moksham. Moksham icchetu janardanat. What is moksham? In the current day life, we are all happy. They have arranged for a lecture. I have come. I will go back to India. I am going to eat well. I am sure you all had samosa and the mango lassi. Everything is good. But how long can this keep going? Now some of you may be wondering, if you come late, you will not get samosa. So, all this is fine. The taste is good. But the beauty is, how much ever we cook, how much ever interest we put, the cooking's taste will last only from here till here. After that it goes. For those 10 seconds we struggle so much. After here we may not know. Before it gets here we will still not know the taste. As long as we don't taste it while cooking. Some have the habit of putting it on their hand and licking, which is not a good. For an amateur cook it may work. For an experienced cook it is not even worth telling others that I tasted it. So you should know how much to put. So the taste lasts only for the 10 seconds, but we struggle so much for that. We work. Ultimately food becomes the order of the day and we have to work for it. And based on that we have got so many other things. Putting the child to a school. First of all, we starting from our parents. We are born. Then we have to go to a kindergarten, learn all that ABCD, learn the words, learn the sentences, learn unrelated stuff. Then come to 10th standard and then decide your 11th and 12th, which is intermediate. So we have no other choice. We always feel that a person aims to become an engineer and takes engineering. Not so. He may think that he's not fit to be a doctor. He's not fit to be an auditor. He's not fit to be a dancer. So what is left is engineer. So he comes here. So not every choice that one makes is out of interest. It is also by default or left with no choice. So we do all those things. Finally end up doing a job which is not related to what we have studied. Correct. Then we may end up having a life, searching for a marriage. The partner should be good. That becomes a very important thing. Both for the male and the female, the partner has to be good. Then fixing up a house. Then again starting the process of the kindergarten for the next child. Then again the grandchild comes, and if they don't study well, it becomes a major issue. Now imagine, after this we depart, the soul goes to the next body. Assuming by our karma account we get another human body. Again the process has to be repeated. This is a never-ending process, and it has to go janmam after janmam after janmam after janmam after janmam. We do not know what we were in our previous birth. We do not know what we will be in the next birth. What we are now itself is a big question. So forget about the previous and the next ones. So this process is a cyclic process, and we believe this is never-ending. So the best way is to seek salvation. What is salvation? That is, the Lord brings you out of this chain very intelligently. But the moment He does it, He will get partiality. Then people will start filing cases against Him. You took him alone out of this cycle and you did not give me that opportunity. So he will be called partial. So what he does is, he gives us the choice. You, if you want salvation, you take the decision and you come towards me. And those two choices are bhakti and Sharanagati. So you perform any one of these, you will get salvation and you will get out of this cycle. So the one who seeks salvation, which is moksham, is called mumukshu. So mumukshu seeks it. So he has to perform bhakti or Sharanagati. What is bhakti? Bhakti is a regular feature where you worship God. But the beauty is, bhakti will succeed only if you keep thinking of him throughout, not even leaving a second's gap, which is very tough. Even when you look at his photo, actually are we thinking about him? May not be. Now imagine we have nothing in front of us and we are performing the daily activities and always thinking about him. So the first condition of bhakti itself is too tough for us. Second, in bhakti yogam, whatever you think of in the last moment, you will be born as that. You must have heard of Jada Bharata, who comes in Bhagavatam. He was thinking of a deer that he had nurtured. He was worried where the deer will be, whether it had the right food. He kept on thinking about it and passed away, and he was born as a deer. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, whatever you think of, this is called Tat Kratu Nyayam. Whatever you think of, you'll be born as that. So the only way from bhakti to get moksha is you have to think of the Lord in the last minute, which is again very tough. Imagine when we are suffering from good health itself, we cannot think of the Lord. Suppose we are on the deathbed with so many machines around us, it is very tough. So this becomes an arduous step. Third, bhakti has certain varnas that can perform, certain who cannot. There are certain rigid rules. But this is not applicable for Sharanagati. Sharanagati, anybody can perform. Any time they can perform. 2. Third, they don't have to necessarily think of the Lord when they are dying. If you want, you don't have to forcefully forget him. But if you think of him or not think of him doesn't make the Sharanagati succeed. Once you perform Sharanagati, he will think of you. What is Sharanagati? Even that act of we remembering him, we give it to him. You tell him, see, I may or may not be able to remember you. So instead, you remember me. This is what Sharanagati is. So all the responsibility, we give it to him. So Sharanagati makes it very sure that it will happen. But for Sharanagati, there are 5 conditions. If Sharanagati has to succeed, then you will have to do what he likes. You should abhor from doing things which he dislikes. You should think that he alone is your savior. 4th, you should think that nobody else can protect you. 5th is complete confidence in him. These are all 5 important things. It may look very similar. What he likes, we may not like. But the condition is we have to perform what he likes. What he dislikes is what we may like. But we should stop doing from those things that he dislikes. 3rd thing, to think him alone as a savior. Now comes a question, why him alone? Why can't there be another one? So the moment we get into this argument itself, Sharanagati fails. 4th, Vishwasaha. The confidence that you have, he will do something right to me. I don't have an iota of doubt. That should be there. I don't know, I'm doing so many. How many lectures, I have heard every day. So many. That person told me, go to the temple for 5 days. I went. But it did not happen. Well, what is the use? At times, I get vexed up. So this Vishwasam. So these are all conditions that entangle Sharanagati. And if all this suffices, then Sharanagati will be successful. So this Sharanagati, which is an easier way than Bhakti, is what that has been spoken in Ramayana. So Ramayana is called Sharanagati Vedam. This is the book that talks about Sharanagati. So we will talk about the various Sharanagatis. In Balakandam, all the celestials, they were tormented by the antisocial activities of Ravana. So they went to Kshiravdi, the milky ocean, and they requested the Lord, O Lord, Siddha Gandharva Yakshascha Tatastvam Sharanam Gataha. We now seek refuge at your feet. please bring a very intelligent solution and annihilate the demoniac forces, they request. That is when the Lord says, Abhayam Pradaha, don't worry. Bhayam is fear. When someone is in fear and you tell them don't fear, you say like this, don't worry, I am there. In India, if you use this sign, this is no feeling. That is there. But if you tell them like this, then you tell them don't be afraid. So, don't be afraid is Abhayam. So, this is called Abhaya Mudra. Now, when the person is trembling in fear and you tell them don't fear, that person will feel rest assured. And that person may need something in return. So, that person will come and ask you for Varam. That is when you say, I will give you something. This is called Varada Hastam. This is called Abhaya Hastam. So, the Lord said, Abhayam Sarva Bhutebhyaha. Don't worry, I will be born. Then he chose his father. That is the difference between Paramatma and Jivatma. He can choose his father, which is not an option given to us. Whether we like them or not, he is my father. Whether I like them or not, she is my mother. Whether they like me or not, I am their son. So there is no other choice. We have to accept that relationship. Whereas for Ram, when the Lord was born, Pitaram Rochayamasa Tatha Dasharatham Nripam. The Lord thought. Then he was born as a son to Dasharatha. So he was born as a son to Dasharatha, which was the first Sharanagathy. The celestials, the Devas, go and surrender at the feet of the Lord in Ksheerabdi, seeking the annihilation of demoniac forces. Was it successful? Yes. That is why the Lord was born as Ram. Next comes the other Sharanagathy, when the Lord is married to Sita. They are happily married. Then the other brothers were also married in the same mandapam. They all got down from the dais. That is when Parashurama comes. Parashurama also had the name Rama, but he was different from this Rama. So Parashurama comes and says, who broke Shiva's bow? I know that the person who has done it with the pinnacle of arrogance. I want to handle him single-handedly, he said. Now comes a very big question. Parashurama is an avatar of Vishnu? You should say something.
Yes.
So Parashurama is an avatar of Vishnu, yes. Is Ramachandra an avatar of Vishnu?
Yes.
How can two avatars fight? See, when the Lord himself comes and he starts fighting, then where will he come and preach about peace and prosperity? Isn't this a question? I'm sure those of you who would have at least had time to glance over in Ramayana will be wondering, why did Parashurama fight with Rama? First of all, their names go together. Whenever you see another person with the same name, first you'll have an inclination. Oh, you're also there. And then you start meeting. Then that person will say, no, I'm not that. I'm called N. Srinivasan, you are K. Srinivasan. So these are all names that come. But the name itself has to pull each other. Parashurama, Ramachandra. Both of them share the name. So they should have gelled well together. But they didn't. And they are fighting. Now comes the question, how did Parashurama fight against Rama? We should understand the concept, the philosophy that is entangled in this tale very beautifully. When the Lord, who is a repository of all good attributes, Samasta Kalyana Gunatmakaha, he is the bundle house of all good qualities. Not even one bad quality is there. Is anger a good quality or a bad quality?
Bad.
Bad quality. Now I am going with my wife, not here, in India I am going. I am walking by the streets in the evening. My wife is wearing one 5 savaran gold chain. 5, savarans, right? 1 savaran is 8 grams, 5 means 40 grams gold chain she is wearing, 22 carat gold chain. One person who comes in that Royal Enfield, he thinks this is a democratic country. It doesn't matter if the chain is in her neck or my neck. And he pulls it. And he pulls it and runs away. My wife and we are taking a very sophisticated walk in the evening. Now her chain is being pulled away. What will she expect? Minimum. At least like Hrithik Roshan, I have to run behind that Royal Enfield for a certain distance and then say I couldn't catch him. And she will expect at least that I have to show that anger, right? Oh, how dare he take that chain, the two from your neck, even I can't do that. So, I should be running, right? Instead, I am telling, don't worry, anger is a very bad quality. That is what they told me in Maryland. Anger is a very bad quality. Though, so she will get angry at two sets. One, she'll get angry at me. Second, at you all. Because anger is also a good quality that needs to come to the right person at the right time in the right proportion. Generally, we tell that person will never get angry, but if he gets angry, he goes out of control. Then that person is not fit to get angry. When you do not know how to control your anger, you should not get angry. So, the one who gets the right amount of anger at the right point in time in the right proportion is called drape in Sanskrit. That is why in Vedam, when they tell Rudra, drape is the name Sayanacharya denotes to tell the person who gets angry in the right proportion. When Sita was abducted, Ram was angry. That is why he constructed the Setu, stood before Ravana and killed him. That is why Andal tells in Tirupavai, Sinattinal Tennilangai Komanai Chetta Manattu Kiniyanai Padavumni Vaitiravai. I love Rama who protected Sita by getting angry. And I like that anger, she says. So anger is also a good quality. That is what the Lord has, all good qualities, including anger. But in certain incarnations, he will be born completely with all good qualities. So he can get angry. He knows how to control that anger. Like how Ram had. Ram was born. He was very compassionate, very merciful, very soft-spoken. At the same time, when his wife was abducted, he got angry. But he did not do irrelevant things. So he had anger also as a quality. So he is called Purna Avataram, complete avatara. Whereas Parashurama, he imbibed only anger from the Lord, no other quality. So that is why he is called Apurna Avatara. He is not a complete avataram. So when you are not complete, in our country, the brand Raymond, they'll say, you will become a complete man. So if you are not a complete man who doesn't have all the qualities, then you will be run or controlled by a complete man. That is why Parashurama, who was not a Purna Avatara, who had only anger, was controlled by Rama, who knew how to control anger. You are getting the point. So two avatars existed, but they were not diametrically opposite in philosophy. They were diametrically opposite in the qualities. So that is when Parashurama comes and tells Ram, you tried to prove that you are a superhero by handling Shiva's bow. But remember, Shiva's bow already had a crack. In India, if you buy certain houses, you will get air crack in the house, if you see. You ask the builder, he'll say, see, I wanted to give something for free. So this air crack is free. So I've given you the house plus air crack, which is an offer. So likewise, Parashurama said, Shiva's bow already had cracked. So what is your valor in lifting a cracked bow? Right? I have got Vishnu's bow, you handle it. That is when Dasharatha comes and performs Sharanagathy, because Dasharatha's life was not inside him. Where was it? Inside Ram. For every father it should be like that, says Vedam. Those of you who are at least conversant with the basic Vishnu Sahasranamam, before the Sahasranama begins, in the introduction we talk about Vyasa. Vyasa was the great-grandson of Vasishtha Rishi, the grandson of Shakti Maharishi, son of Parashara Maharishi, father to Shuka Maharishi. Remember this order. Great-grandson of Vasishtha, grandson of Shakti, son of Parashara, father to Shuka. I have to give question papers now. So, this is what comes in Vishnu Sahasramam. Vyasam Vasishtha Naptaram. Naptaram means great-grandson. Shakte Pautram, Shakti Maharishi's grandson. Parasharatmajam, Parashara's son. Shuka Tatam, father to Shuka. Taponidhim. He is the one who is very meditative in approach. So Vyasa is called as the son of Parashara. Son is called by what name in Sanskrit? Sanni came entaro. Putraha, correct. But the word used is Parashara Atmajam. He is the Atma of Parashara. Why? Because what is Atma in Sanskrit? Atma is a Sanskrit word. What do you call it in English? Soul doesn't define Atma as per my understanding. I don't know how other English speakers speak. I am not so good like them. But Atma is not soul. What is soul? Define soul. I don't know. Atma is soul, soul is Atma. What is soul? Because even when we, in Catholics, when they perform prayer, because they agree to the infancy of Jesus in Catholics, they believe divinity came in him while he was a child. So when they say, "O miraculous infant Jesus, I prostrate before you and beseech you to the cast a merciful look on our troubled hearts, and let your tender heart so inclined to pity be softened by our prayers, and grant us the grace which we ardently implore from you. Take from us all afflictions, all despair, all trials and misfortunes which we have laid. For your sacred infancy's sake, come and protect our soul," they say. So if you go ask them, is soul Atma? They will say soul is not Atma. Because they don't believe in the concept of Atma. So what is soul? For them, soul is life. But for us, soul is one little light which can never be crushed, which doesn't get thirsty, which doesn't get hungry, to which nothing can get attached. It is an incessant ray of hope and knowledge. That is soul for us, which is Atma. So soul is not Atma, but we don't have any other word in English, so we are using soul. But now what is Atma? In Sanskritam, Atma, remember this concept very carefully. Apnoti iti Atma. That is the definition for Atma. Apnoti iti Atma. Next time onwards, when you come for the lecture, please make sure that you have a notepad and a pen, or a gadget and a stylus. Something. So, Apnoti iti Atma. The one that wishes to attain and attains what it wishes to is called Atma. Now I'll give you an example. Brahmavit apnoti param. Suppose the Atma desires, I want to reach Parabrahmam. It can. Because it has the ability, it is called Atma. If it wants something, it will get. Even Paulo Coelho in The Alchemist says, if one can aspire what he wishes to, the world will conspire to achieve it for him. This is what Paulo Coelho, the Portugal writer, says. So, essentially, Atma attains what it wishes to attain. Correct? The father, he wanted to study in Ivy League University. The father. But he was not able to because of his own personal problems and relationships. He nurtures his son and he tells him, "My son, I wanted to study in an Ivy League University. I couldn't. So, you go and study." So the father attains what he wishes to attain through his son. So the son is called the Atma to the father. You're getting the point? Because Atma attains what it wishes to attain. The son attains what the father wishes to attain, if at all the son is doing so. Then he is called the father's Atma. Parashara Atmajam Vande. That is why in Vedam it is said, whenever the son or the daughter goes out to play and they come back, the father has to bless the child by kissing on the forehead. Vedam says, Angad Angad Sambhavasi Hridayad Hridayadapi Atma Vai Putra Namasi. The father should tell, look at your fingers, it is just like mine. He is talking about DNA. So, Angad Angad Sambhavasi, yours is like mine. Hridayad Hridayadapi, what you think is what I think. Atma Vai Putra Namasi, my Atma is in your shape. So Dasharatha's Atma was Ram. So he could not stand Parashurama fighting against his dear Ram. That is why when Vishwamitra comes and asks Dasharatha for help, he says, Swaputram Rajashardula Ramam Satya Parakramam Kakapaksha Dharam Veeram Jeshtham Me Datumarhasi. Give your dark son Ram. Will you go and ask a parent like this? Give me your dark son. Because in those days, dark and white was not an issue at all. Today it has become an issue. In India itself, in the south of India, who are generally South Indians are slightly darker than the North Indian counterpart. But if you see there, people say we have to be proud of our color. But that is when they show advertisements where the girl and the boy are very dull. Then the friends come and tell you, use this Fair and Lovely, you will become very fair. Why should we become fair? Only life has to be fair to us. We don't have to be fair in life. Correct? So it becomes very, very important to understand that color doesn't determine a person. That is why he says, give me your dark son, which the father did not misconstrue. Had he told today, then an association would have said, ask him to withdraw his statement. We will demonstrate till he does that. All those things did not happen those days. So Ram was actually to be sent. That is when Dasharatha tells, you have asked my son Ram to come with you, Vishwamitra. Probably you must have mistaken. Because he has the name Rama, it doesn't mean he's that angry Parashurama. Poor thing, he's the humble, soft-spoken Rama. So why do you want to take him? So there was already a discussion about the angry Parashurama and the humble Rama. Now when Parashurama comes and gets angry at Rama's act of breaking Shiva's bow, Dasharatha tells, hey Parashurama, please forgive my son. Abhayam datum arhasi. Please give him abhayam. Don't trouble him. That is when Parashurama tells, nothing doing, I will test your son. Now, what did Dasharatha do? Sharanagathy. Previous Sharanagathy, who did? Devas did. Was that successful?
Yes.
Is this successful? No. Why? Because the act of performing Sharanagati is important. At the same time, to whom you are performing is important. Correct? Now, if I give a lecture on Sharanagati in Ramayana to you all who lead a sincere life, who believe that there is somebody watching above us, then it makes sense. Suppose I call people who are involved in many scams in India and I tell them you should not take money from anybody and run away to another country leaving 8,000 crores. They'll say, why? So what? What will happen? So it becomes very important, more than the advice, to whom it is going. Sharanagati was performed, good, but it was performed to Parashurama, who did not know how to be compassionate. He had no mercy. What is daya? Daya is quality, which is mercy, which means paradukha asahishnuta or paradukha nivartyakatvam. If somebody is sad, at a distance you will say, poor boy. So this is sympathy. This is daya. At times, if you can help them out, you will go help them in person, which is empathy. This is what they teach in MBA. Organizational behavior is one of the courses in MBA. They'll teach the difference between sympathy and empathy. And people will end up paying so many thousands of dollars. I'm giving it for free here. So, sympathy, you actually sympathize with that person. Should have not happened to him. Next step, you go and help him out. That is empathy. So both, they are daya. The Lord can always feel sad at our state and He can also help us. So daya is paradukha asahishnuta, paradukha nivartyakatvam. Only if there is daya, you can accept somebody's Sharanagati. Parashurama had no daya. So this Sharanagati failed. So in Ramayana, Deva's Sharanagati at the feet of Vishnu, seeking the annihilation of Ravana and other demoniac forces, succeeded. Whereas Dasharatha's Sharanagati at the feet of Parashurama, seeking emancipation for his son Ram, did not succeed. Now, coming to Ayodhya Kandam. That is when Sita and Ram had to leave to the forest. First it was only Ram. The original plan, Kaikeyi had sought the boon only for Ram. She never said Sita has to go. She thought, let Sita stay here and watch mega serial. It is okay. For 14 years it will go. In India, mega serials go for 14 through 20 years also. So she said, let her watch here. But immediately Ram went to his mother's harem, mother's court, Kaushalya's court. He told Kaushalya Mata, there was an initial plan to make me Yuvaraja, but now there is a slight change in the plan. I have been asked to go to the forest. Kaushalya started crying. Have I given birth to see you being tormented in the thorn and the stony path in the forest? Have you to go to the woods and get yourself when you are at the peak of your life to enjoy the comforts with your wife? She started crying. She said, I will come to the forest along with you, Ram. I will cook for you. That I will come and cook for you. Ram said, no, father is already taking BP medicines, so you have to give him every day. If Kaikeyi Mata is there, she may not give proper food, so you stay here. So wherever he is, you have to stay. Sita was overhearing, because between Sita's room and Kaushalya's room there was one small window. So they both overheard. In those days, in the backyards also, some of them will leave the wall open so that they can exchange the daily chutney and all that they can give. So Sita's room and Kaushalya's room had one window. She heard, eavesdropped what would have happened. Now Ram comes to Sita's harem and tells Sita, you don't come with me, you stay here. She says, no, wherever you are going, I will come. Why? Ram asks, you just now told your mother, wherever father is, she has to stay. That means that rule applies to me as well. I have to come wherever you go. Ram thought she's becoming a very good advocate. Then he starts arguing with her. Finally, she feels that it will be very futile to argue with this person. So she finally resorts to a weapon. She tells, Kim tvamanyata vaidehaha pitame mithiladipah ramajamataram prapya striyam purusha vigraham. It is indeed the mistake of my father Janaka for having gotten me married to a lady who's dressed as a man. Striyam purusha vigraham. Ram is now worried. What? So he tells you, come with me. He doesn't want to get into an argument any further. So he comes. When both of them walk out of their harem, their legs were caught by one person. They look down and they check it is Lakshmana. Sabhratuhus charanaugadam nividhya raghunandanaha Sitam uvacha atishayam raghavam cha mahavratam aham sarvam karishyami jagrataha swapataschate. He tells, I will be your cook. I will be your washing machine. I will be your dishwasher. I will be your contractor. I will build the house for you. I will be the one who clears the path for you when you are walking. I will do all kinds of services. But please take me along. So this is one Sharanagathy. Why is this Sharanagathy performed? Lakshmana felt that it is always the duty of a soul to perform service to Paramatma. So, you perform service, we go to the temple. When flowers are given, we string garlands together. If there is a chandana stick, we try to grind it to get the sandal paste. These are all little services we do. The Jivatma, using the Shariram, does it to the Lord, Paramatma. Correct? This is one service. Now, where is Paramatma as per our Shastram? Paramatma ekkada unnaru? Enga irukar? Everywhere. And is he inside us?
Yes.
He is inside us also. So, when he is inside us, when we perform service to the opposite person, also it means you are performing to the Lord. Correct? You can perform to him directly, or you can perform to the other person who has him in him. Correct? So that is why we say service to mankind is service to God. Because God is inside that mankind. Because God is kind. To rest inside mankind. So that is when we perform service to him. Now this is very, very important that we realize that we are all servants to the Lord. The moment I use the word servant, slave, we have a very different connotation. Servant means the one who will stand like this in one corner and we have to sit in one golden throne and command at him. Is the Lord treating us that way? We are led with our own independence. But the word servant or slave is to tell the services that one has to perform, not to implore about the apartheid or Uncle Tom's Cabin or Utopia or the days of Africa. But here it is to say that we have to perform services. That is the concept which Lakshmana realized, and he wanted to perform services at the feet of Ram and Sita. That is why he performed Sharanagathy. So Sharanagathy was performed by Lakshmana at the feet of Ram and Sita. Why? To do services. Was it accepted? Yes. That is why they took Lakshmana along. Now comes a question. The first Sharanagathy succeeded by the Devas because they surrendered to the Lord in the Milky Ocean. Did that succeed? Yes, because they performed to the Lord. Remember that wherever Sharanagati is performed, Mahalakshmi should also be there. We believe that our destination is not Narayana. It is a Lakshmi and Narayana. It is the divine couple. We never ever want to give her one status and then pull her down. She is an inseparable part in his life. They are one entity, Lakshmi and Narayana. So, if you go the other way, Shankara tells, Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shaktah Prabhavitum Nachedevam Devo Nakhalu Kushalaha Spanditum Api Atastvam Aradhyam Hariharaha Virinchadi Bhirapi pranantum stotum va kathamakrita punyaha prabhavati. This is the first shloka of Ananda Lahari, because Saundarya Lahari is divided into two parts, Ananda and Saundarya. So Ananda Lahari's first verse, it says, Shivaha Shaktya Yukto. Without Shakti, Shivaha will become a Shava. He will become an immobile body. This is what they say. But here, Lord, the God and the Goddess are treated as inseparable. There is no one instance where they were separated. But some came and asked me, in Tirupati Venkatachala Mahatmyam, they say that Lakshmi got angry and she came down. See, for the Lord to come on earth, he needs one reason. So he has to act in a drama. For example, the child is doing something in the house. The father will say, why did you do it to him like that? The mother will ask, I didn't do. Why did you do it to him? So for the child to understand that the father is in support. So for the children like us, that the God is coming for us, he tried to act as if he is away from Lakshmi. Never is she away from him. He cannot survive without her for a minute. So here we have to understand that every Sharanagathy in Ramayana will succeed only if Sita is next to Ram. Nowhere without Sita will the Sharanagathy be successful. Now, Lakshmana performed Sharanagati, Ram accepted it. Now they went to the forest. As they went to the forest, they accepted the hospitality of Guha at Shringibherapuram, accepted the hospitality of sage Bharadwaja. Bharadwaja was a great sage. When Ram, Sita and Lakshmana passed by that way, Bharadwaja welcomed to his house and said, Ram, why don't you have food? Ram was a very orthodox person. He will look how that person is cooking, how is it hygienic, whether they are not tasting before they offer. They will look into all these aspects, which is unlike Krishnavataram. Krishnavataram, he will eat any food. He is not bothered. Whichever way you give me, even from Bapa Lal shop you give me, I will eat that food. From that grand sweets you give me, I will take food. That is why they call Krishna sweets. They never say Ram sweets. Because if you keep that word, you have to be very orthodox. So Ram never had the habit of consuming food elsewhere. He will not have junk food. But the only place in the entire Ramayana where he eats food cooked by somebody else is Bharadwaj ashram. The only place. Everywhere else he doesn't eat at all. But today, whereas Krishna will eat everywhere. But today, if someone, you want to call them a glutton, you will always say, Sapattu Raman. Poor Rama. You never say Sapattu Krishna. It is actually Krishna who consumes. If you go to Mannargudi, which is a beautiful temple town in Tamil Nadu, Krishna, the idol of Krishna will be very, very, very fat. He will look like a very plumpy person. Because that is what he was. Whereas Ram, if you go to Vaduvur, he will look too thin. Very well maintained body. So he knew what to consume, which one to consume at what point in time. Krishna knew none of this. But even then you will always say Sapattu Raman. Besides the point, Ram stayed in Bharadwaja's ashramam and went to Chitrakuta. Chitrakuta happens to be a Bengali sweet as well. So remember this place, Chitrakuta, which is on the banks of river Mandakini at the border of Madhya Pradesh and the end of Uttar Pradesh. So Ram stayed there. And while he stayed there, Bharata, his other brother. What is the order of the birth of brothers? Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana and Shatrughna. Do you know that in none of the place in Ramayana it has been mentioned that Bharata was elder to Lakshmana? It's a big controversy among scholars. Generally when we hear, for us it is very simple. Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana, Shatrughna. Rama was born in Punarvasu, Bharata was born in Pushyam. The other two were born in Ailyam, Aslesha Nakshatra. This is how we would say. So one comes after the other. That is how we go. But nowhere it is said he was elder to the other one. Because there is a place where Bharata falls at the feet of Lakshmana in the Yuddha Kanda. There is one place. So it is very tough to decide. Nevertheless, using a lot of other tools of knowledge, verbal testimony, it is believed that Bharata was elder to Lakshmana. So for all safe reasons we can assume, but if you are ever planning to do a research on Ramayana at one point in time, be very careful. In Ramayana there is no verse that suggests that he was elder and the other one was younger. That's very important, we have to understand. You may ask, Pushyam comes before Aslesha, then we have to assume, no. He could have been born in this Aslesha and in the next Pushyam Bharata could have been born. Correct. It has not been said after this Pushyam. It is very important in Ramayana. So there is a huge debate in the Sanskrit commentary that has been written in Ramayana for 10 pages who was elder. And finally they conclude that Bharata is assumed to have been elder in Ramayana. Now Bharata comes telling Ram, you have left two things. Ram asks, which one I left? No, I took everything. Which one did I leave? Bharata tells, you left two things. One, the Ayodhya which loved you, you left Ayodhya. And second, you left me. I love you more than what you love Ayodhya. So you left both of us. So come back to Ayodhya. Ram said, no, this is not possible. If I come back with you to Ayodhya, then in the news, media, they will say, Ram did everything for an eye wash. He just went till Chitrakuta, and the moment Bharata called, he came back. What a bad ruler he is. He is not sticking to his words. So he said, I have promised my father that I will stay in the forest for 14 years. I will do it and come. So Bharata performed Sharanagathy. He said, Ram, you will have to come with me. Ram said, yes, you are performing Sharanagathy for a good reason. It will succeed, but it will take little time to succeed. So after 14 years, I will come. So Bharata, Sharanagathy towards Ram succeeded, but it took that little time to succeed. Point one. And second thing, Ram had to convince. Generally, what may happen is when the mother is cooking, mother or father, whoever, mother or father, when they are cooking, the child may come and ask, I am hungry. But 4 or 5 dishes which she had planned, 3 have gotten over. But she cannot give those, the other 2. So what she'll do is she'll take one plate, she'll keep little of this, and she'll say, until I finish those, you have this. So until the entire food comes, you give food in installments. Correct? That is how you do. Likewise, Ram wanted to give himself to Bharata. But he had 14 years of exile. So what he thought was, till I come, I need to give him assurance. So he gave his padukas and said, until I come, you have these padukas as your relief material. But isn't this very surprising? Suppose I give $10,000 to one person as a loan. That person comes and asks, please give me $10,000. I give him $10,000. 3 months later, I go and ask him, sir, you had taken $10,000. I see no signs of you giving that money back to me. Will you ever give it to me, or will you also go to UK? So that is when the person will say, I don't have $10,000. I have got a pair of very good sandals outside. Take that and go. Even if I would take it, I would see to it that it is shown to him in his face twice and then take it. So Bharata asked Ram himself to come. What should have Ram said? I am not coming. This is a simple answer. But what he said was, I will come after 14 years. Till then you take the padukas. And Bharata too accepted it. Isn't this a surprising act? So on these padukas, the holy sandals of the Lord, Vedanta Deshika, a poet, a preceptor, a dramatist, a grammarian, a logician, an acharya par excellence, composed 1008 chaste shlokas in 3 hours, called Paduka Sahasram. Even to read that work, it will take 4.5 hours. But he composed that work, and every verse, there is a difference between Sahasram and Sahasranamam. Sahasram means 1000 verses. Sahasranamam means 1000 names. 1000 names is easy. Vishwam 1, Vishnuhu 2, Vashatkaraha 3, Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu 4. So like this, 1000 names may take 20 minutes. But 1000 verses, the topic is Padukas, and in 3 hours. So this must be an impossible act. Probably in those days, in Limca Book of World Records, Pepsi book and all, had they existed, it would have come. So in one of the verses, Vedanta Deshika states why Bharata had to do this, why Ram had to do this. It seems the Padukas were of greater importance than Ram, he states. How? Because the world has been created by Brahma. Brahma has been created by the Lord in his Nabhi. So the Lord who created Brahma is born as Ram, and Padukas support Ram. So Brahma, the world comes under Brahma's jurisdiction. So the world is a subset of Brahma. Brahma is a subset of Narayana, who is now Ram. Ram is a subset of Padukas. So Padukas is the superset, Ram is the subset, under which Brahma is another subset, and under which world is a subset. So A is greater than B, B is greater than C, C is greater than D, which implies A is greater than D. So if the world has been ruled by Brahma and Brahma has been ruled by Brahma and Rama has been supported by the Padukas, Padukas are greater than Ram. One. Second thing he states that Paduka in Sanskrit is feminine. Sanskritamlo, words that have akaranta shabdam, Saumya, Uma, Rama, Kanta, akarantam is Strilingam. Ahaha, Ramaha, Krishnaha, Janardhanaha, Pandurangaha, Krishnaha, Srinivasaha. These are all Pullingam. Certain which exist confused between the two is called Napumsakalingam, like Padmam, Kamalam, Jalam. They are all Napumsakalingam, neuter gender. So Paduka is what? Strilingam. What is Lingam? Lingam ante emi? Maaku emi? Shiva Swami, Lord Shiva is in the form of a lingam in a temple. For us, lingam means this shape. No, in Sanskrit, lingam means identification. Those words that recognize or identify male is Pum Lingam, Pullingam. Those words that identify with the female is Strilingam, Strilingam. So any shape that gives form to Shiva is called Lingam. So that common noun Lingam has become a proper noun in Shiva's case. That's all. So Lingam, Strilinga Shabdam is Paduka. Sita is Pullingam or Strilingam? Strilingam. So Ram had two women in his life. One the Paduka and the second is Sita. Both are females. So Ram was married to both of them. Even before he was married to Sita, he was married to his Padukas because he has been wearing Padukas from day one. But who is the most obedient of the wives? Is it Sita or Padukas? He said, Sita, don't come to the forest. She came. He said, don't ask for the deer. She asked. Whereas Padukas, Ram said, you come with me to the forest. It came. He said, go with Bharata to Ayodhya. It went. So Vedanta Deshika states that Ram will always have affection towards his obedient wife Paduka, and disobedient wife Sita will take the second position. And third, he states in one verse, it seems Ram had to relieve himself on the pawnbroker called Bharata. You know what pawnbroker is? Bapa Lal, Pinky Lal, somebody. So if you typically go to a pawnbroker and I keep this chain is worth, for example, in your currency, $500. This chain is worth $500. If I pawn it at the pawnbroker, how much will I roughly get? $300. 300. Murli is very generous. If he's a pawnbroker,
I gave you $100.
No, you gave me.
Only $100.
Only 100. Oh, then very bad. Oh, 500 you're not. Okay. Roughly, you may go for lesser than half the price. If it's 500, less than 250, you will never even want to touch 200. So the price, the amount given to the person who owns that chain will not even be 10 to 30% of the value of the chain. So the chain is more valuable, correct? The chain is valued at X and I will get X by 5 or X by 10 if I pawn it to the pawnbroker. So Ram thought that if he has to get relieved from Bharata, who's the pawnbroker, he has to pawn something which is more than his value. That is why he pawned his Padukas to Bharata and took himself away, which is just less than half the value of Padukas, went to the forest and came back. This is another verse of Vedanta Deshika. See, to explain the verse itself, it has taken me 17 minutes. Imagine 1008 verses like this, Paduka Sahasram. In that he uses Chitra Paddhati. You know what Chitra Paddhati is? Though it doesn't fall under the ambit of this lecture, I am just telling you, in Sanskrit is a very beautiful language. How many ever times I tell, it is just an understatement. This is all I can say. There is one verse. Devo Langita Bhavadeshu. This is one verse in that Chitra Paddhati. I'll tell you how that format is. You'll have to be a bit imaginative. I cannot use PowerPoint, but you should imagine there is a PowerPoint. The verse has two lines. First line, second line. The first line is divided into part A, part B. Second line is divided into two parts, part C, part D. The part A has 8 letters. Part B has 8 letters. Part C has 8 letters. Part D has 8 letters. So one verse with 2 lines and 4 parts with each part 8 letters makes 8 into 4, 32 letters. One such verse which has 32 letters in Sanskrit is called Anushtup. That is why Vishnu Sahasranamam we say Anushtup Chandaha Mahavishnu Paramatma Shriman Narayano Devata. So we tell that the entire composition is in Anushtup Chandas. So in this 4 parts, if I take one part, how many parts will be left? 3. So how many letters will be there? 8 into 3, 24. Then that Chandas is called Gayatri. So Gayatri has 24 letters, right? Because it has got 24, it is called Gayatri. Gayatri is not the name of the next door auntie. She has taken the name, borrowed the name. But Gayatri essentially means any shloka which has got 24 letters. In Gayatri itself we have many Gayatris, Brahma Gayatri, Shiva Gayatri, Vishnu Gayatri. Then you have got Surya Gayatri, which is called Savitri. That is what is very famous in this world, which is known as Gayatri Mantra. But it is called Surya Gayatri. Now coming to the point, Vedanta Deshika and Chitra Paddhati has employed 2 lines, part A, part B, part C, part D. Now imagine I'm taking, in the first line how many letters will be there? 16. Second line? 16. Now it has been understood. Now, the first letter of the first line, second letter of the second line, third letter of the first line, fourth letter of the second line. You are getting my Rangoli pattern? Suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this 5 is of the first line. 6 is of the next line. Now you will get one line, right? That is again the first line. If you put it like this, you will get the first line again. You do the reverse, you will get the second line. This is one paddhati. Second, if you put those letters in a chessboard, then you will get the movement of a knight in one shloka. That is called Chaturanga Paddhati. Then you have got another verse where if you jump from one letter to the fourth letter, you will get the velocity of light. And if you put those insert, there is one shloka. Tatta titteti tittata tudattatta titetteta. So this is the verse. You may understand, were you wondering what will be the meaning? There is a meaning. Tati tutta tute titta. The one whose padukas is adorning us. It's a beautiful meaning. Forget that. If you put this ta inside a column, then you will get exactly a 360-degree circle. And with subcircles, the subcircle can operate in the anti-clockwise direction and the main circle can operate in the clockwise direction. Very, very intelligent literature. They generally say Kalidasa is, India's Shakespeare, which is wrong. Shakespeare is Europe's Kalidasa. Kalidasa came much, much before than Shakespeare. So, the literature spread that Vedanta Deshika has given is matchless. I'll give you another verse, you will be surprised. Sevadhyeyo Ramalali Yasya Amara Amara Mora Yasya Bhalankaram Taram Tam Shri Tam Vandeham Devam. This is a verse in Sanskrit that talks about Krishna. It tells about how the tree was planted in Satyabhama. Parijata Vriksham was planted, right? How she got angry and how Krishna came and pacified her. This is the verse that talks about Krishna. If you reverse the verse, Sevadhyeyo Ramalali Yasya Mara Mora Yasya Balankaram Taram Tam Shri Tam Vandeham Devam. Correct? I will reverse. Vandeham Devam Ma Yodhe Vase. I will get Ram's history. So from left to right it is Krishna. From right to left it is Rama. It is called as Anuloma Pratiloma. This is called Yadava Raghaviyam. Likewise you have got Raghava Pandaviyam. You can do for Pandavas as well. Beautiful works have come. Now let me get back to the Sharanagathy part. Now Bharata's Sharanagathy was successful, but it took little time. So, first Deva's Sharanagathy, successful. Dasharatha's Sharanagathy at Parashurama's feet, not successful. Lakshmana's Sharanagathy at the feet of Ram and Sita, successful. Bharata's Sharanagathy at the feet of Ram and Sita, delayedly successful. 4 Sharanagathis over. Now we have to go. It is 1 hour 8 minutes. I have got 3 more kandas left. So I will be able to cover. I won't take extra time. So you can be very vigilant on the lecture itself. Don't worry about the time. Now, next is Aranya Kandam. Aranyam. Aranya is forest. Those incidents that happened while they lived in the forest is called Aranya Kandam. So as they walk inside the forest, it seems Valmiki says, Raman Ponmudi Turandavodu Kaadu Ponmudi Shudiyadu Polum. When Ram left his golden crown in Ayodhya, the forest adorned the golden crown because they were happy that Ram was coming as a king of the forest. So when Ram walked inside the forest, the Tamil poet, those of you who can't understand Tamil, don't worry, I will be able to translate to some extent. See, any language translation in English will be a waste, but still I can always attempt. So, Ram's color was not known to public, it seems, because he was a very sensitive boy, comfortable boy. He will always be in the palace. So people will see him only in news channels or newspapers. So commoners could not see. So Kamban, the Tamil poet, wanted to understand what is the complexion of Ram. Because some say he's dark, black, jet black. See, there are 2 ways of describing black. You can say one person is dark. The other way to say is a person is dark. There is a difference between the first dark and the second dark. So the second dark is what Ram was. So Ram was dark as Itex. In our country we get that Itex. Here I don't know what brand, L'Oreal or Lakme. L'Oreal, I don't know, Garnier, I don't know. So that black color, whether he is the color of Anjanam. Anjanam anta cheptaru kada, Telugu lo em adi? So we say Mai. Kannadalli ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? Kankappu. So Kankappu, Mai, whatever names, there is all the same object. So it is dark. So whether he is dark as the collyrium or is he green? Because some say he is green. Certain colors in probably the ladies here will be able to appreciate because you have got a wider range of colors in your dress. So in Tamil we call it as Mayil Kaluthu. Certain Kanchivaram sarees, Andhra you love Pochampalli, Venkatagiri, Mangalagiri, that's different, but the color is called Mayil Kaluthu. If you look at the peacock's neck, it will neither be blue nor green. It will shuffle between the two. So Ram was blue, at times green. Raghu Rama Maragata Manishama. Maragatam ante emerald kada. So he is as green as the emerald. Whereas sometimes they say Neela Jasama Neela Krishna Venu Jaya Jaya Pampahini Ramagama Indra Neela Mani Sandhi Papa Ghana Chandra Surya Nayana Prameya Bhagindra Indra Neela, which is again sapphire, blue sapphire. So whether he is blue or whether he is green or whether he is black, we do not know. Kamban says Veyyongoli Tanmeniyil Virijotiyil Maraya Puyyo Yenumidayaludum Ilayanudum Ponanadu Mayyo Marigadalo Marimugilo Ayyo. He tells I am not able to conclude. So Ayyo can be used in both the auspicious and the inauspicious note. So if generally if you use Ayyo in a Tamil family, they'll say don't use that word. But for example, the lecture is good. Surprisingly, it turns out to be good. And people ask, how was it? Ayyo. So that time Ayyo gets an auspicious note. So Kamban says, Ayyo, what color? I'm just assuming you will go tell like that. You can also say it in a different way. Ayyo. I'm not forcing you. This is also a democratic country. I'm coming from the world's largest democracy to the world's most powerful democracy. So we are still democrats. I don't know who's going to win, that's a different question. But still, you have the choice to offer your own uncharitable comments on this lecture as well. So you don't have to be charitable all throughout. So when Ram walks inside the forest dwellers were happy to welcome him. That is when the rishis come. They come and show their bodies. Rishis generally in those days, they used to have very little food. In all our dramas, we will have fat ones as rishis. They are all gluttons. Rishis, they will barely have one thin layer of skin that is just covering their skeleton. If you look at the great sage of Kanchi called Paramacharya, a very intelligent and a very auspicious man, he used to walk place to place very fast. He used to have very little food, and people who have looked at him would barely wonder at his skin. It used to be so thin on that skeleton. So that is how rishis are meant to be. Whether the rishi chooses to eat or not is his own right. But a rishi is a person who barely eats anything. He lives with whatever little he can survive. But these rishis came and showed their bodies, it seems, to Ram. Valmiki tells, because to tell Ram, see, these demons are tormenting us, please protect us. They perform Sharanagathy. Devayam bhavata rakshya bhavat vishayavasinaha nagarastho vanastho va tvamno raja janishwaraha. Hey Ram, please understand that you are the one who's ought to protect us. Ram said, see, I have now come to the forest. I am not in Ayodhya now. How does it matter whether you're in Ayodhya or forest? You are our ruler. See, the police commissioner is in his uniform. He goes on rounds and he helps people. He takes off his uniform, puts his regular dress in the house, and he comes. One lady comes and says, sir, that is troubling. See, I am not wearing my police uniform now. Tomorrow morning you bring the same person at 9 p.m. I will protect. He cannot do. Whether he is in police uniform or not, he is a police. He is meant to protect. Nagarastho vanasthova. Whether you are in Nagaram or Vanam, Tvamno Raja Janeshwaraha. Aren't you the king to protect us? Ram said, don't worry. I will give you assurance that I will protect you from the demons. Then they lived in the forest. He had blessed. Sharanagathy was successful. The demons were not annihilated. Sita one day told Ram, I think it is high time that you keep this bow and arrow away. You are not fighting with anyone. Right? See, you are carrying it from Ayodhya to place after place. You know, certain people will always, if you go to these airports, they will have one book always in their hand. Maybe when they are doing check-in also, they will have the book. When they walk in that line also, they will have that book. When they get inside the flight, they will have that book. But the wonder is they will never open the book. So what is the use? They could have better checked in that book. The book is in certain cases, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter book itself will be heavier than us to carry. At times when they call for buffet, this reception all have become buffet. The plate will weigh 1.5 kgs. You have to hold like Govardhana Giridhari. Then on that you will have to put food. See, for us, for them they are very intelligent. They are, see, we will ensure that the plate is so heavy and you go only half stomach. So it becomes very, that is why we used to, traditionally we serve on leave so that you don't have to trouble the person who's eating. See, first of all, he's helping to us by coming to our house and eating. And above all, you are asking him to lift one Govardhana Parvatam. Then how will he do? Right. So Ram said, he carried bow and quiver of arrows everywhere. He had one because for him he doesn't have to worry about supply chain. See, generally warriors, if they are falling short of arrows, they have to order. In those days, they were customized arrows. You'll get your names on the arrows, like customized mugs and all. You get customized arrows in those days. But Ram need not have to order because the boon he had was, if he would let an arrow out, it will come back to his quiver. So it is not use and throw. It is refillable. So it will come back. So Sita said, why are you carrying this quiver of arrows and this bow everywhere? You are not fighting. You are not doing anything like a Kshatriya. You sit. That is when why did she do so? To remind him that he has to take care of the rishis. That is when he goes and fights with the Janasthana demons. Asahaya Shura, Anapaya Sahasa, Mahita Mahamrita, Darshana Mudita, Maithili Dradara, Vikata Viropita, Vikata Virabrana, Mari Chamaya Amriga, Parikarmita, Charmara, Darbhastarana, Vikrama Yasholava, Vikrita Jivita, Grudraraja Deha, Didaksha Lakshita, Bhaktajana Dakshinya, says Vedanta Deshika and Raghuvira Gadyam. So how he fought? This was again to ensure that his Sharanagati, which the rishis had performed, is successful. So Devas performed Sharanagati. Every time I'm telling to remember, it was successful. Dasharatha performed Sharanagati at the feet of Parashurama, not successful. Lakshmana performed Sharanagati at the feet of Ram and Sita to do service, it was successful. Bharata performed Sharanagati at the feet of Ram and Sita to do service, it was delayedly successful. Next, Rishis performed Sharanagati at the feet to restore peace and to annihilate demoniac forces at Ram and Sita's feet, it was successful. Next comes the Sharanagati in Kishkinda Kanda. See, before this, there's one small Sharanagati. It is not called Sharanagati. It is, in medical world, you have got the manufacturer and finally you have got the consumer. But before the consumer gets it, the person goes to the pharmacy. In India, traditionally, I don't know the system here because here doctors don't write brands. They write the generic name. They may write Nimusulide. They may like Dribenclamide. They will not write the brand name. In our country, they'll say take Crocin. They will never say take paracetamol. They'll say take Crocin. So there it is different. But in India, you have got manufacturer, distributor, stockist and retailer. But between the stockist and the retailer, there is one unknown name called as sub-stockist. Likewise, in Sharanagati, there is a complete Sharanagati. There is something like Sharanagati. That is the Sharanagati I am going to tell now. What happened was when Sita was abducted by Ravana, she tried crying out to all those creatures that she saw on the way. So she is telling the Karnikara Pushpam. They are all flowers which Ram used to pluck and adorn Sita's head with. He could not go to Pondi Bazaar. So whatever flowers he got close by, he used to adorn. So he looked at that flower and said, she looked at the flower and said, Hey Karnikara Pushpa, oh the flower which used to adorn my head when Ram used to pluck. When Ram comes this way, if at all he happens to come this way, please tell that his wife Sita has been abducted by Ravana. See, now you may ask, Sita, such a mature, seasoned lady, why should she talk to flowers? See, when you are in agony as a human being, you do not know whom to talk to and what to talk to. Right? At times, if you are angry with one person and you can't show anger on that person, you will take that vessel and hit. Because the vessel will listen, he will not listen. So anger can be shown only at the vessel. So at times we also converse and communicate with insentient objects. So Sita was in agony, so she spoke. We cannot get into logic. How did the intelligent Sita talk to flower? Because when you are in troubled times, you will do so. So when Sita told to Karnikara Pushpam did not reply. As she went further, she looked at Godavari Nadi. Hamsakaranda Vasina Mande Godavari Nadim. Hey Godavari, where on its banks the swans come every evening, show their royal gait and go back. Oh Godavari, please protect me. When Ram comes this way, tell him that it is Ravana who has abducted Sita. She goes further. Then Ram comes slowly. Sita! Sita! Then he looks at Godavari. Godavari is having a serene flow. She doesn't open her mouth. He asks, Godavari, Mate, did you see Sita? She doesn't reply. So, Sita's Sharanagati to Godavari was not successful. Now comes a question. Sir, if it has to be successful, then Godavari has to tell Ram, you please go straight 90 kilometers, take left and go. Will ever reverse talk? If you tell this to your kids who have grown up here, they'll say, what? Reverse talk? What are you telling? What is all this? Correct? See, we have to understand philosophy and religion in terms of science, wherever it is necessary and where we don't have to coax it to be understood. Rivers have a point of origin. See, even if you have rivers here like Mississippi, they will have some place where they start. And there will be a place where they culminate, where they move. But it is a general belief, Akashat patitam toyam sagaram yatha gacchati. Wherever water comes, precipitates in the form of lakes or rivers, has to finally end up in the sea. Akashat patitam toyam sagaram yatha gacchati. Sarvadeva namaskaraha keshavam pratigacchati. So, it has to go to the river. What is a river called in Sanskrit? Em cheptaru? Chappandi. Chappandi. Whatever you say, I'll say it is right. Now you tell me. Nadi. Sarayu oka peru. Nadiki Saras ante river. Nadi is a general word, but in Sanskrit, remember, rivers that start in the west and flow eastward is Nadi. Rivers that start in the east and flow westward is Nada. Technically in Sanskrit. Now today everything is Nadi, because if you take Amazon river, it starts southwards and goes north and takes to the eastern direction. It goes via 3 countries. Amazon. So there you may ask whether now you told for east and west, what is there for south? But for Sanskrit literature it is Nadi, Nada. But generally we use Nadi for any river. Okay. Now a river starts at one point, ends in the ocean. At times, geographically, rivers have the ability to change the course. You know what changing the course is? Suppose the river has to go this way. In certain times, the river can go this way and come back. This is called changing of the course. We do it called as diversion, right? In India, we call it diversion. We take a different route and come back. That's also called a bypass. You bypass and you come to the main route again. So this process of bypassing and taking a different course in a river, geography wise, is called meandering. Meander means to take a different course. So when the river, don't think I'm getting in technically a lot. You have to understand Ramayana technically. If I just keep telling Rama did this, Rama did that, what bhakti you all, I tell Ram and you all recite 10 times behind me, then your children, if they ask questions, then you will be left dumbfolded. You will not be able to answer. So I'm equipping you to manage the conflict resolution there. So if they ask questions, you should be ready with the answer to give it to them. Then they should think about what question to ask. So when the river changes its course, it's called meandering. This meandered portion may at times get detached from the main course and form a lake. It's called Oxbow Lake. See, in Bhagavatam, people, whoever have told, be it Telugu, Tamil, then they say, Perumal, Appo, Kalingan, Mandaram, Natyamadina Ramadhava, Ratha Go, Ratharam. People will be very bhakti folded. The Kaliya lived in Yamuna. Correct? He lived in Yamuna only, right? Where did Kaliya live? And it was full of poison. Now imagine, if Kaliya had lived in Yamuna river is flowing, then how can you say it is poisonous? Then they should have got water from Viranam Lake. They could have not got, because if entire Yamuna is poisonous, then where will they get water from? This is how every discourse person used to say. But remember, Kaliya did not live in Yamuna river. He lived in the Yamuna watered Oxbow Lake of Yamuna river. That lake was formed from Yamuna river waters. So he lived in that lake, not in the river. Be very careful. So that is why it is very important to question our Shastras. Then only you get answer. So if Godavari had the intention to serve Ram, she starts from west and flows eastwards. When Ram had asked, in the act of helping him, she could have meandered and gone south to indicate that Sita has gone in the southern direction, but she failed to do. So in the jurisdiction of being a river, she could have served, but she failed to do. That is why Godavari lost all her purity. There is no purity for Godavari. Yevanti Swami. Naidu has spent so much amount on Godavari Pushkaramu. Chaganti has said so many things and you are telling Godavari me no punyam. And what is the shlokam? Gangescha Mune Chaiva. Yevanti Godavari Saraswati Emi Swami akkada purity ledu anta cheptaru ikkada vachindi Godavari peru. What is this? She lost purity because she did not serve Ram. She did not fructify the Sharanagathy that Sita had performed. But she gained back her purity because in Godavari the name Goda of Andal is there. So she got that purity back. Godavari Jagadidam Payasa Punite. She lost and got it back because she had Andal. Andal is not only for Tamil people, for Telugu. Amukta is a great work by Krishna Devaraya that talks about the great garland, the
priceless garland that was presented to the Lord after having Andal worn it. Amukta Malyada. In Thailand, the country Thailand, even today kings are suffixed as Ram. And during their coronation, the last two verses of Tirupavai is recited in Thailand. In our Thailand, whether it is recited or not. Thailand is mother's land. In our motherland, whether it is recited or not. But in Thailand, it is recited. So that is why some people say, I like Thai food. The mother doesn't cook, we have to like our Thai food. So, Sita, this is a sub-Sharanagathy. Then they went further. Then comes Kishkinda Kandam, where Ram seeks the help of Sugriva and Sugriva seeks the help of Ram because both their wives are missing. Both of them are sailing on the same boat. Both their wives are missing. The only thing is Ram was worried, Sugriva was happy. I don't know. So, Ram helps in rescuing Sugriva's wife. Sugriva's wife was called Ruma back. But then he remarried Vali's wife Tara. That is also there. In Ramayana, he remarried because in Sundarakandam also, Tara's father comes, Sushena comes, and that time Sugriva introduces, he's my father-in-law. So if he says he's a father-in-law, naturally his daughter has to be his wife. So that is a belief. Fine. Now Sugriva promised, Ram, you have helped me. Ruma is back. I'm so happy. It has been monsoon season, 4 months they have predicted. After that, I will send all my monkeys. If I send them now, they'll get sinus problem. So after 4 months, let them go. Ram said, okay, until then I will stay in the cave of Rishyamukha Parvatam. You go and stay in your palace. 4 months was over. Now Ram was angry. He was tearing one sheet after other in the calendar. 4 months got over. He said, Lakshman, you go and give a summon to that Sugriva. Lakshman was naturally a very good fighter. He'll always wait for debating. So he said, angry young man, he marched towards the city of Kishkinda. He opened the doors and all the monkeys started running hither and thither. That is when, looking at his furious face, the monkeys went and told Hanuman. Hanuman saw Lakshmana's face. He knew that he is going to kill Sugriva. He went and knocked at Sugriva's presidential suite. Do not disturb. Sugriva? Because he was drinking. Come out, Sugriva, Lakshmana has come. Tara, you go. Sapraskhalanti. Valmiki describes the way in she walked. It seems she had worn a belt, a robe, and that was so loose that was about to fall. Sapraskhalanti. She had drunk so much. Madavihvalakshim Pralamba Kanchi Guna. It seems she had put tattoos on either sides with golden dust that was rubbed by Sugriva. Pralamba Kanchi Guna Hema Sutra. Her eyes were red. Salakshana. With this state, Lakshmana Sannidhanam. She went and stood before the sanctum of Lakshmana. Because her husband had just passed away and she is now married and on the same bed with her husband's brother. And on the other side, when Ram had shown the jewels to Lakshmana, he says, I cannot recognize these jewels. I cannot understand whose earrings are these. I do not know if this is the necklace worn by Sita. I do not know if this is the girdle worn by Sita. I do not know if it's the anklet worn by Sita. Only the metti. Metti came chaptaru Telugulo. Metti. Thank God, the only word that is the same. So, metti, he says, I cannot recognize other forms of jewelry. I can recognize only the metti Ram. Ram asks, why? Because it is this only ornament that I used to see when I used to fall at her feet. Naham janami keyure, naham janami kundale, nupure tvabhijanami nityam padabi vandanar. So, Tara, who remarried her brother-in-law, is coming in this ransacked state and standing before the sanctum of Lakshmana, who views his sister-in-law as the mother. Salakshana Lakshmana Sannidhanam Jagamatara Namita Gayashtihi. Look at the way he writes, in which he writes. So he comes and stands. That is when Sugriva is taken, because when Tara came, Lakshmana did not know how to look at her. He started bending down his head. How he bent his head down, Kamban, the Tamil poet, describes. If a son-in-law is caught amongst 10 mothers-in-law, how much of shyness he will put his head down. Mamiyar Kuduvillirinda Maruman Vokarai Kundani, he looked down. It is in this time gap, Hanuman took Sugriva to the wash basin, splashed water on his face and said, go properly now. So Sugriva went and said, please forgive me, I am performing Sharanagati at your feet, Lakshmana, forgive me. Lakshmana said, please do. The moment you convince Lakshmana, he will come down. No, please don't perform. It is a small act. I know about you. You come with me. So this Sharanagati was successful that very moment. How? Anjalim Paramamudra. The best way to perform Sharanagati is Anjali. There's one joke. Yeli in Tamil means rat. Ori Eli, Rendeli, Mooneli, Naleli, Anji Eli. This has nothing to do with Anji Eli. Amjali. In Sanskrit is water, tears. Jalayati iti anjalihi. The posture that makes the opponent shed tears is called Anjali. The moment I do this, please help me, the other person should feel that emotion. You please don't put your palms together, I will help you. So that makes him very, very embarrassed. So this embarrassed feeling appears in that opponent when he looks at this posture. Because this posture makes him shed tears, it is called Jalayati iti Anjalihi. Anjalim Paramamudra Kshipram Deva Prasadini. So the best way to achieve in this world is to do Anjali, says Vedanta Deshika. You will remember in Mahabharata, there is one person called Bhagadatta. Bhagadatta was the son of Narakasura. He had one astram called Narayanastram. Narayanastram was the ultimate weapon. There is no pratyastram to it. You cannot use an opposite, antidote weapon to it. So, Bhagadatta was about to shoot Narayanastram on Arjuna. Arjuna knew when he was reciting that mantra that this is Narayanastram, but he did not know what to do. He said, Krishna, he's filing Narayanastram at me. What do I do as antidote? Krishna hit on his head and he said, why did I take all this time to give you Upadesham of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita, what did I say? I am the Supreme. There is no one who is equal to me. Only if there is someone equal to Narayana, will Narayana Astra have something equal to it. So there is no equal to me. There is no equal to Narayana Astra. So what do I do now? You get down, keep your bow and arrow away, put your palms together and do Sharanagati to that astram will go back. So the only way to win me and my astram is doing Sharanagati. Anjalim Paramamudra Kshipram Deva Prasadini. So this is the Sharanagati that Sugriva performed by doing Anjali and Lakshmana accepted. Next, in Sundarakandam, when all the demonesses come and try to torment Sita, cutting Ravi, soda bottle, Kabali, they all come. That is when Sita tells. Trijata tells, the leader of that team, she's the daughter of Vibhishana, she tells, don't trouble her, I dreamt that she's going to be successful and Ravana is going to be a big failure. Fall at her feet. Because if Ram wins on the battle, then she will go and complain about you all to Ram and he will crush you. Do Sharanagati at her feet. They did not know, poor ogresses, all soda bottle, Kabali, what will they understand about Sharanagati? Sharanagati, what Sharanagati? That time Sita, who heard this, said, Trijata, if what you have said is true, that Ram is going to win and Ravana is going to get defeated, don't worry, I will give protection to these ogresses. Nothing will happen to them. Now these demonesses did not even open their mouth. But Sita blessed. That is why Sita is greater than Ram. Ram will wait for somebody to come and do Sharanagati. But Sita will not even expect that. That is why Matar Maithili Rakshasi Stvaridaiva Ardra Paradastvaya Rakshantya Pavanatmaja Lagutara Ramasya Goshti Krita Kakam Tancha Vibhishanam Sharanamityukti Kshamo Rakshataha states Parashara Bhatta and Sri Gunaratna Kosham. How Sita's party is better than Ram's party. How Amma is better. They say. So, this is the Sharanagati in Sundarakandam. Now comes the most important, ultimate of all Sharanagatis, which is Vibhishana Sharanagati. But for that Vibhishana Sharanagati, there is very little time. So I have to cover this Vibhishana Sharanagati. Vibhishana Sharanagati comes in Yuddha Kanda. How when after Hanuman had burnt Lanka, he called for an all-party meeting. Ravana. So in Ravana's days, there was one Lankan Democrat, Lankan Liberal, Lankan Republican, all candidates they came. Now Ravana was contemplating what went wrong. How did this monkey come inside our country and has caused irreparable loss to our country? How do I call all the contractors? They have to understand how to rebuild Lanka. That is when Vibhishana comes and says, forget about the monkey and the loss. It is high time you go and give back Sita to Ram. It has caused irreparable loss. Ravana said nothing possible. That time Ravana's son Indrajit insults his own uncle Vibhishana and tells Vibhishana, my father has been providing you food for all these days. In Shastram, when you feed someone, you should never tell. The moment you tell, then you lose the dharmam there. So the moment Indrajit said, Vibhishana said, I am free. Till now I was under that gratitude, but now I am free. So I will go. I don't like your attitude. It is high time that I go. That is why Vibhishana made a wise decision, unlike Karna. Karna could have still made this decision. We have made Karna into a very, very hero figure in Mahabharata. In Tamil, people who understand, they will Ennuyir Thozhi Keladi Sedi Ullattil Nalla Ullam Urangad Enbadu Vallali, all these songs, you know, they sing in all super singer aunties and uncles, they also cry. Poor Karna is like this. As per Mahabharata, Karna was not good. As per Mahabharata, he was not good. Nowhere they talk about his generosity. One place he gave his kavacham to Indra, and that too he got Shakti weapon in return. He was a very, very jealous person. So Karna, some people will become advocates for Karna. Why did this happen to Karna? First of all, I'll ask how many times have you studied Mahabharata? Don't go by N.T. Rama Rao and Nitish Bharadwaj. Vyasa's Mahabharata, how many times have you studied? Because when Draupadi's Swayamvaram was happening, Karna came with his own son. And his son was 16 years and Karna had come. He said, both of us let us apply in this Swayamvaram. If Draupadi becomes your wife, she is my daughter-in-law. If I marry her, she becomes your mother. Okay? There was an agreement as per Ramayana, Mahabharata. So all these things happen in Mahabharata. It will be very confusing. You'll be wondering, now things are much better, you will feel. So, this Vibhishana left his brother and he came atop. What did I say? For any Sharanagati to be successful, is Ram alone enough? Sita has to be there. But when Vibhishana performed Sharanagati, was Sita there next to Ram? How was it successful? Isn't this $1 million question? How did this approval happen without following the proper process? Because when Vibhishana flew on the sky, Sita was looking at him and she asked Trijata, who is it? Trijata tells, it is actually my father Vibhishana who dislikes Ravana's acts and is going to perform Sharanagati at your husband's feet. She gets happy and she looks at him. Yasyam dishi viharate devi drishtistvadiya. With her grace he went. It is very important. Without Sita, nothing would have happened. So he goes and he tells all the monkeys, 70,000 monkeys, hey, somebody from Lanka is coming, take that stone, take that tree. And all the trees were uprooted. That is why if you go to Ramanathapuram today, you will not find a single tree. All the monkeys had taken one stone. 70,000 monkeys were waiting to hit one Vibhishana. That is when Sugriva tells, all of you keep quiet. Why have you come? Tadastvam Sharanam Gataha. I have come to seek refuge at Ram's feet. What is your qualification? Ravanaha Rakshaseshwaraha. I am the younger brother to that bad Ravana. Will you ever tell this? For a qualification, you say, no, I don't know. I may look like that. I am very different. I am from a different island totally. You will say. But he said, Shigrameva Tivram. You go immediately and tell, because Sharanagati has to be performed the minute we think of it. Let us see next time. Who will know whether we will live till then? Uncertainty is the certainty of life. Correct? In this current world, we do not know. We will make long 5-year plans, 10-year plans. Slowly we will start going, year after year. We will not know whether we survive. Are all deaths that so planned, well planned? Or had it been Ichha Mrityu Varam like Bhishmacharya for us, we will be surviving forever. So in a house, if you go, they'll ask, who is this person? Don't ask me. He's got Ichamrityu for the last 10 generations. This man has been living and I have to cook for him as well. To cook for the immediate members of the family itself is a pain. Who will cook for the 10 generation man? So thank God we are born and we are going to pass away one day, and the beauty is we do not know when we are going to pass away. Until then we will live in the assumption that we will not pass one day. So Sharanagati has to be performed the minute we think of it. We should not do a second thing. What if that, then we will not survive. Immediate. Tatastvam Sharanam Gataha. So Sugriva tells you, stand there, you get down, you see, I will go. He went to Ram. Ram was seated amongst Lakshmana and Sugriva, Jambavan. He goes and Sugriva tells, you know that Ravana's brother, Ravana, Ram's reaction, Sugriva, Ravana, huh? Tell me Sugriva, Ravana's brother Vibhishana. Okay, what has he come for? To perform Sharanagati at your feet, Ram. To perform Sharanagati, call him immediately. Ram, I don't think so. Now Ram is in a coalition government. He has to ask the opinion of the other party as well. So he asked Sugriva, what do you think? Sugriva said, how dare that ungrateful brother of Ravana come deserting his own brother? Ram looked. Who's talking? The pot is calling the kettle black. You left your brother Vali and you came and performed Sharanagati at my feet and I had to accept you. If Vibhishana comes, I should not accept. But he did not open his mouth. Certain facial reactions are more than enough than what can be conveyed through words. Oh, okay. Now tell what is the second point? Poor Sugriva is weak like me. He cannot understand facial expressions. Because in audience, certain people will give. I will keep on going. So I am like Sugriva. So Ram said, okay, what is your opinion? I feel Ram, he should not be accepted, he is a bad man. Is that your conclusion? Yes. Ratified with a facsimile? Okay. Next he asked Angada, the young son of Vali. Angada said, sir, we will give one small entrance exam to him. One question paper. GATE, CAT, MAT, GMAT, BAT, SAS, PAS, CFA, CPA. We will give all these questions, let him answer. Ram was now wondering. Parikshartham va, he says. Parikshartham means examination. Ram worries, if someone comes and seeks refuge, you should give them, answer this question paper, then you come. Next, Jambavan. Jambavan said, see, he's coming to divide and rule. You know this divide and rule policy, right? He's coming. Finally, Ram thought, everybody is giving an opinion against Vibhishana. Then he said, will not a single person give? That is when Bashpavari Paripurna Lochanam Marutim Hanuman you come. You are the only one who has gone to Lanka. None of us have gone. You tell me what is your opinion. Hanuman starts. See, there are many learned people in this Sabha. I am not so learned. I will just say a few words. Forgive me if I am at mistake. There is nobody who equaled Hanuman's intellect, including Ram in that assembly. But yet he said this. That is why they say, Vidya dadati vinayam. Right knowledge will always give humility. Whatever gives arrogance is not the right knowledge. So he comes and says, can I speak? Yes, Hanuman, you speak. I personally feel Vibhishana is a good person. Because when I was about to be killed, he was the only one in the assembly who said you can never kill a messenger as per Shastram. The only person who used the word Shastram in the entire Lanka was Vibhishana. So, Shasanati iti Shastram. So, he cannot be bad. And second thing, his daughter Trijata is of great support to Mata Sita. That is what she told me. So, he cannot be wrong. And remember Ram, actually, we do not know how to reach Lanka. They had not constructed Setu. Even without us not knowing the solution, he has still had confidence and is coming on our side. See, we are going to fight in Ravana's land. So Ravana will always have the upper hand. See, Ravana, since they are coming and fighting in Lanka, he knows the exits, entries. So we are at a very weak side. But still he is surrendering at the weak side. He is not doing this pre-election shift to parties. See, before the election, they will jump from this party to that party to this party. He is not doing so because we are in a very weak position. Exit poll state that we will not win. But he is still coming this side. So this means that he trusts the ideals and the ideology that we live in. So we have to give Sharanagati. Now Ram thinks. He says, I have seen two kinds of opinions. One which says Vibhishana is bad, he should not be given refuge. The other which says Vibhishana is good, he should be given refuge. I would like to humbly submit my opinion, says Ram. Everybody is watching, media is covering it completely. Valmiki is watching. What is Rama going to say? Because this is the topmost point of Sharanagati. Rama tells, Sugriva, I would like to tell you some stories. Sugriva, again he is going to start. What stories? Now you will also be like in that position. We thought you were going to conclude and again you are going to start. Don't worry, small stories, Panchatantra stories. Ram tells all this in Valmiki Ramayana. He tells. The first story. It seems there was a hunter. He told his wife, I will bring some food today, and he went to the forest. There was a tree, there was a branch, there was a male bird, there was a female bird. He shot an arrow at the female bird fell, he took away all the feathers, took the flesh, went home, cooked and ate. The same hunter came in the night and sat under the shade of that tree, and it was suddenly cold. He got a few twigs together, lit fire and was in that bonfire. He was very hungry, he did not know where to go. And atop the tree on the same branch was seated the same male bird that had lost the female bird to the same hunter the same afternoon at that point in time. The male bird thought, he has come to our tree. Poor man, he is seated without food. What will I offer? And that male bird voluntarily fell into the fire to tell him, you consume me. Did you understand, Sugriva? Ram asked. Sugriva, you told me about the hunter story. How is it related? He said, see, the hunter who came in the afternoon was Ravana. Ravana took away, abducted Sita from me, separated both of us. And in the evening, the same hunter came in the story, but in reality, the same hunter did not come. It is Ravana's brother Vibhishana who has come. There in the story, the hunter killed the female bird. Here, Ravana has just kidnapped Sita. In the story, it is the same person who killed the female bird who came in the evening. But here, it is Ravana's brother who has come. It is not Ravana. And on the other side, there, the hunter did not ask for food. Understanding the hunter's opinion, the bird fell out of the own course. But here, Ravana's brother is openly asking for Sharanagati. And if I still don't give him Abhayam, then the world will curse me that I am worse than the bird. The bird is greater than me. So I have to give Sharanagati. Second, he gives a second story. Sugriva has given a long discourse. Now, a tiger was chasing a Brahmana. This Brahmana tried running as fast as possible. He climbed atop the tree. Then he thought for his relief that I can sit, the tiger cannot climb. Then he looked to the side, then he saw a monkey, big human-sized monkey. Hurry, this monkey is there. The monkey said, don't worry, you have come to my tree, it is like my house and you are my guest. And it is as if you are seeking refuge. I will not leave you, don't worry. Now the tiger said, now the hunter said, the Brahmana said to the monkey, I am getting sleep. I will sleep for some time. You stay awake. When you sleep, I will stay. Okay? And he slept. And the monkey was awake. And the monkey was sleeping, he was awake. That time the tiger said, you push that monkey down. What would the Brahmana have done? He pushed. This is human mentality. So he pushed. And this monkey realized by the time it tumbled what would have happened. And the tiger came close to the monkey and said something in the ear. And the monkey started coming atop. It came again back to the tree. Now the Brahmana was worried. Now this monkey is going to come and push me. As the monkey approached, the Brahmana said, you're going to push me? No. But I pushed you, that's why you're going to push me? No. Then the tiger, the tiger said, the tiger told, monkey, you go up and push that Brahmana down. What did you say? I said, yes. Are you going to push me? No. But why did you tell the tiger that you're going to push? Only if I tell, it will leave me. So I had to tell. So he said, Ram said, see, look at that monkey. It had that ability to bless. And you are also calling yourself a monkey. Haven't you heard the story about the other monkey? Third, Shivi Chakravarti, our ancestor Sugriva, for a pigeon, he cut across the flesh in his thigh and gave it to a hawk. Shibi Chakravarti, though he might have been dead in his mortal means, his fame is still living. But I come in the same clan, and if I don't give Abhayam to this Vibhishana, today Shibi Chakravarti's fame will die because I come in his clan. So, you know what I feel? Sugriva said, you give your announcement. He said, you said Vibhishana is bad, he should not be given refuge. Whereas Hanuman said Vibhishana is good, he should be given refuge. I would say, even if Vibhishana is bad, I will give him refuge. Because giving refuge is my qualities. Sakrideva prapannaya tavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarvabhutebhyaha dadami yetat vratam mama. This is my vow, that whoever in whichsoever condition falls at my feet, I will give refuge to that person. They don't have to worry. Abhayam sarvabhutebhyaha. So whichever person, irrespective of religion. See, remember that Hinduism is one religion. Today we say Hinduism. In our Shastras, you can never find this word Hindu. There is no distinction between Hindu, non-Hindu. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the entire world. In fact, Sharanagathy is so strong a doctrine that all religions have to accept this. You know what Islam means? Islam, from the word Islam comes the word Muslim, right? You reverse it, you get Islam. When you do the Arabic reversing, because Arabic itself has to be read in the reverse manner, that is different. But when you do the diligent reversing, you get Muslim. The one who practices Islam is Muslim. So, Islam in itself, the word means submitting oneself, which is Sharanagati. They also have 5 tenets, like how we say Anukulyasya Sankalpam, Pratikulyasya Varjanam, Rakshishyati iti Vishwasaha, Goptrutva Varanam, Karpanyam. Any religion, take Christianity, Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, they are all parts of the Old Testament, which most Catholics believe. Whereas Protestants, they may construe on the New Testament. And everywhere he says, give yourself to me, which is Atma Samarpana, which is Sharanagati. So any religion, though the philosophy may be different, whether they agree Atma, whether they disagree with Atma, whether they agree with Purva Janma, whether they agree with Papam, whether they agree with Punyam, whether they agree in incarnations, whether they agree in rebirth, that is different. But the only way to reach God is unconditional self-surrender. Hinduism teaches this based on the Atma concept. So the Atma has to be submitted. Finally, the last Sharanagati in Ramayana, Vibhishana Sharanagati is the pinnacle. That is the best, typical, ideal, best Sharanagati. Nothing like Vibhishana Sharanagati. But after that, there is one Sharanagati. Vibhishana was asked by Rama asked, how will I go to Lanka? I've got 70,000 monkeys with me. How will I manage and take them? Vibhishana said, we'll construct one bridge. Construct bridge. Who will be our technical people? All these monkeys will construct. What is it possible? Can they ever do any work properly? What will I do? No, they will do. If you tell, they will do. Make Hanuman the proper mason, leader, contractor. He will manage. That is why we have one concept of Ram writing Ram on it and it started floating. Nothing of that sort happened in Ramayana. It was an oceanic ridge between India and Sri Lanka. The ocean bed. You know the ocean bed, it is like the normal land. In certain places, like the normal land bulges. The ocean bed also bulges. In geography, it is called oceanic ridge. Ridge is the inflamed portion of an ocean bed. So between India and Lanka, there was water. And below the water, there was ocean bed. And this part of the ocean bed between Rameshwaram, which is Tirupulani and Sri Lanka, Mannar, was inflamed. So Ram had to construct only for half the depth, because already it existed, natural formation. Then he put all the trees, that is why Ashoka, they mention of 27 trees, 27 types of trees were put for the entire depth. Then above it, they were kept big rocks, and between the big rocks, smaller rocks were kept, and either sides, when the ocean waters used to hit, sand used to get filled in between these places. That is when Tondaredi Pudiyalvar, one of the mystic saint, remarks that Shalamila Anilam Polen, even the squirrels came and they spread sand between the tracks. That's not mentioned by Valmiki. Nevertheless, there's nothing wrong in understanding squirrels would have done that. Had it been American squirrels, they would have done it much more because they're all big. So more sand would have come. Indian squirrels are very malnourished. So they would have done. Now this Setu was constructed. As it kept on getting constructed, slowly it started rising out of that water. That's all. So there were nothing, they did not write Ram and it did not float. Such things that are against science will never be mentioned by Valmiki. So even today, if you do a cross section of the Setu today, even 50 years before, in 1960s when Dhanushkoti was there, people will go perform Pitrik Shraddham in Dhanushkoti. How they used to go is they'll take a boat. There used to be many fishermen who used to row. They used to take them 5 kilometers inside the sea and then they'll say, get down. How can you get down? You'll drown. But if you get down, you can stand there because that Setu would have reached till then. Till your leg, you'll have water and you can sit on that Setu and perform your Shraddham and come after 5 kilometers in the middle of the sea. So Setu existed, still exists. If you take that piece, you can see coral reefs because those trees have turned into coral reefs today. Above that, you'll have rocks. Above that, you'll have sand. It's a beautiful formation. And 2000 years before, now we are in 2016, 2000 years before, there was a Sanskrit poet called Pravarasena who composed 2500 verses in Prakrit about how the Setu was constructed. Setu Bandhana Kavyam in Prakrit. So this was constructed. But before the construction, he had to get clearance. Ram has to get, here also to build a house, you need so many authorities' permission, right? So Ocean King has to give clearance. So he put a bed of darbha grass and slept on it. Darbha Shayana Rama. And in those days, clearance should take only 3 days, not more than 3 days. Process has to be very simple. It is called Prayopavesham. 3 days the person has to answer. 3 days Samudra Raja did not come. He was expecting something, I suppose. So that something did not come and he did not turn. That is when Ram gets angry and he tells, Lakshmana, Chapamane Saumitre, get my quiver of arrows, I need to hit at him. That is when Samudra Raja comes and says, Pahimam, Pahimam, I took this little time because I was searching for certain gifts for you. I was actually hunting and by the time I did all the shopping for you, it took so much of time. He said you can construct the bridge. But remember, when Ram himself performed Sharanagathy at the feet of Samudra Raja, he did not answer. Why? Because if you perform for a person who is not worth performing, your Sharanagathy will not be successful. Suppose I go and tell one person, sir, I need 10 rupees. I wish I could have helped you because even I am searching for the same 10 rupees. So if I go to another person, there are different ways. Probably after having come, this is my 3rd time to the US. Last year I made 2 trips. This is my 3rd trip. So I've started learning to say, for example, generally in our country when we all grew, how will we say? Suppose a person gives you something and you don't like, you say, I won't like, I will not take it. Thanks a lot, I appreciate this. Here, I've learned this, I appreciate this, but I'm afraid I cannot do so. Why should I say I'm afraid and all that? But this is the way they speak, right? I'm afraid I cannot do so. I would love to come, but I'm not. Simple, I'm not coming. I'm very polished. You're saying, I wish had I been there, I would have come, but we're using all forms of past participle present. Had I been there, I would have come, but this is not. I really appreciate. So finally, he's not coming. That is the moral of the story. So this person said, I tried to accumulate various things. Ram said, but you didn't come, right? That's okay, you come. So if you perform to a person who's not worth receiving a Sharanagati, this is the result. So you have got Deva Sharanagati being successful, Dasharatha Sharanagati not successful, Lakshmana performing Sharanagati successful, Bharata's delayedly successful, Rishi's Sharanagati being successful, Sharanagati at the feet of Godavari by Sita not successful, Sugriva performing an act of Anjali to seek forgiveness from Lakshmana successful, the act of Sharanagati which was not performed by Rakshasis but yet was accepted by Sita as successful. Vibhishana performing Sharanagati at the feet of Rama which is successful, Ram's Sharanagati at the feet of Samudra Raja which is not successful. So at all places which have been successful and not successful, if you have seen, wherever it is successful, Sita has to be there. Wherever it is successful, most of the cases it has to be performed towards Ram. Wherever Ram is there, Sita has to be there. The reason has to be correct. The timing has to be correct. So the reason has to be correct, which Devas and Lakshmana had. Timing has to be correct, which Bharata did not have. That is why it was delayed. Both of them have to be there. That is why it is successful. Why it is not successful? If you perform to worthless people like Parashurama and Samudra Raja, it will not be successful. So this is the implication of Sharanagati. So Sharanagati in itself has been intertwined in Ramayana. So if you take Ramayana, what he suffered, what she suffered, what Ravana came, how many heads he had is all covering, which is all skin. But the skeleton remains Sharanagati. That is why you need to tear open the flesh and the literary fantasy to see the skeleton. So skeleton is what that supports. That is why we are called vertebrates. That is what that separates us from the invertebrate. So that is why in Tamil they ask, if a person doesn't have regards, they'll say, Mudugu elumbi illiya? Don't you have that? Shame. So shame and all qualities come from the skeleton. So skeleton is what that is not visible. If skeleton were visible, each of us will look very gory to look. Because the Lord during his manufacturing process has covered us with amount of flesh and blood, and that too by mystici. Generally in car companies they'll say, today Toyota is planning to take back 2 lakh cars because of one manufacturing defect. They will take back those cars and they'll do. Suppose Brahma, he tells 1,000 people have manufactured, manufacturing defect came, I want to take them back. Imagine by one small mistake, what he does is, instead of keeping liver, stomach, intestine, esophagus, everything inside, imagine the skin had not been there. All of it will be visible. Then each one will say, your stomach is so big. Right, we will be able to see. The other one will say, such long intestine, what are you going to do? And look very gory. That is why Alvar says, I am not saying this, உள்ளே இருப்பதை புறம்பே இட்டால் காக்கை ஓட்ட காக்கை ஓட்ட நேரம் கிடைக்காது இடி. It seems if the Lord by mistake had not covered us with flesh and had kept everything open, we will not have sufficient time to drive away the crows. Because the crows will start biting at our flesh, and it will start doing like how Kakasura did, because Kakasura Vrittantam is very important. He also performed Sharanagati. See, Treen Lokan Samparikramya Tameva Sharanagataha. When Ram was resting on Sita's lap, Indra's son as crow came and knocked at her bosom, and she could not stand that, and blood started oozing, but she did not want to tell Ram. Ram looked at her and understood her state, looked at the crow with its beak with a drop of blood coming. He took the blade. Vallavanukku Pullum Ayudam. He took that blade and Darbhastarana. It went all the 3 worlds. Treen Lokan Samparikamya, the Kaka, that is the crow, went to Indra. Who's Kaka? Who's that Kaka? Indra's son? Who's he? Kaka's, Indra's son, Kaka, what was his name? Kakasura is better. Some people will say Jayanta, which is wrong. Jayanta was not this particular Kaka, because what had happened was, Indra, when he had, this is a very rarely heard story, I'm just telling you, please remember, I've got 3 more minutes to complete, so 180 more seconds. So, when Indra and Indrani, his wife, had taken a stroll in their garden, they saw the male and the female crow mating and giving birth to a egg. So, Indra said, this is time for us too. That is when she said, this is not the right time, this is evening time. This is meant for crows and not for us. So he said, let us disguise as crows, and she gave birth to an egg, and that egg hatched and came a Kaka, which is the son of Indra. This Indra's son Kaka was given room number 103, his room allotment. 102 was Dasharatha, because Dasharatha had got, after he passed away, he came to Swargalokam, correct, Indralokam. So he was given 102. So 102 and 103 had a common balcony. So when Kaka went out, Dasharatha also came out, and they both started speaking. That is when Dasharatha tells, I had one son called Ram. Ram was married to Sita. Sita is a very beautiful daughter-in-law, very nice girl. That is when Kaka developed that interest towards Sita. And he came flying to Chitrakuta and he knocked at Sita's bosom. And that is when she experiences pain, and Ram sends Kaka throughout, and he again falls at the feet of Ram, and that is when Sita tells, leave this crow, just take one eye out of it. That is why in literary science we believe That kaka has only one eye. Either it will look like this or look like this. It will never look like this. Kakakshi Golakanyayam, we say in Sanskrit. No, they have two. National Geographic Channel 2 only. But this is a literary assumption. Like Nagamani, this is Eka Akshi, which we assume. That is why Dasharatha is a departed soul. Who was his friend? Kaka. That is why for the departed souls we keep rice for the kaka as an act of it. So this kaka did Sharanagathy, and see, Ravana just abducted Sita, but he lost all his 10 heads. Kaka, the son of Indra, harmed her physically, but he just lost one eye. Why? Because when Kaka, though having performed this cruel act, Sita was next to Ram, so she did not let anything happen. Had Sita been next to Rama on the war field, nothing would have happened to Ravana. Because in Sharanagati, more than the Lord, it is his concert who's Sita who's more important, compassion incarnate. So with this we have seen the Sharanagati in Ramayana. We have completed all Sharanagatis. So it has been 2 hours, 4 minutes, 3 seconds. So sorry for having taken that 4 minutes extra. I would like to thank the host here, the couple, for having given the space and time and brought people together to listen to one topic from Srimad Ramayana. For all the inmates here, I would like to mention that on the 20th of August, which is a Saturday, 4 to 7 p.m, I am giving a 3-hour lecture at the Shiva Vishnu Temple, Lanham. So it is free for all. It is going to be in English. I would request each one of you to pull in 2 more people and bring them on that day. It happens to be a Saturday. Again, I would like to thank the host here, and of course my very good friend Srinivas and his wife for having hosted me and having brought me here. So tomorrow I am taking a flight to Toronto. I've got a 5-day lecture from the 13th to 17th in Toronto at Etobicoke, Sringeri Matam SVBF at Etobicoke near Mississauga. So if you've got relatives in Toronto, please ask them to attend the evening lectures from 13th to 17th, where I'll be talking about the Charitram of Annamacharya, Bhadrachala Ramadas, Kshetraya, Purandaradasa, Kanakadasa, Garuda Charitram, Sudarshana Vaibhavam, and Sita and Draupadi comparison in combination with the meaning for Rudra Mahamantram. She got Sri Rudram, right? Namakakubhaya Nishangine Stenanam Padaye Namaha, Taskaranam Padaye Namaha. All these mantras, I'm planning to imbibe them the meaning of it. So this is all going to be in English. So even if they are Telugu speaking, Kannada speaking, Tamil speaking, Malayalam speaking, Marathi speaking, Gujarati speaking, as long as they can understand simple English intertwined with no accent, they can understand my lectures. Kavidarika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha.